Hello, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's webcast. I started it 1 minute earlier to say hello to everybody from all around the world. It's fantastic to have you guys all on here. I'm really excited. We have our CEO of Utopian Global here, Bill Rowell. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Claudia. Great to be here. Welcome to everyone. Hi, Ryan.
And we have our CEO of STORH on the call today. This is Ryan. Hi, Ryan. How are you?
I'm great. How are you? Glad to be on.
Very good. Very good. Great window behind you. I guess you are somewhere out in the fields.
At the central U.S. location.
All right. Okay, so let's get ahead because we have some great announcement news today for you guys. It's on the hour. We don't want to hold people back here. And just quick, because we see a lot of Spanish people logging in. We have a separate Spanish webinar for them. So this is really for the English folks here because the Spanish will be actually a Spanish version. And yes, it's going to be recorded. So yes, you can re-listen to it as well. So welcome everybody onto the call. We have also new people who have no clue yet what we are doing. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly give you a little bit of update, what we are, what we do, why we are here, why I'm here with those nice men talking on this webinar to you today. So basically Utopian Global, the Utopian Global ecosystem, unique platform or ecosystem for physical precious metals, income producing assets, STORH. That is why we have our CEO of STORH on board here, and a professional education system and affiliate marketing system. So it's a platform where you can basically generate multiple sources of income. Utopian Global, as of providing precious metals, was our core business, has been going since 11 years. You see here our founder and CEO, Bill Rowell, with a gold bar in his hand, coming from the largest refinery in the world, Argo-Heraeus. That is our the refinery where we source the gold from, the largest refinery in the world. In fact, they do over 20% of the annual gold production. And Bill is a licensed precious metals trader in the DMCC in Dubai. That is why as well he is licensed in Dubai for that. Yes, so the company Utopian Global, he founded 11 years ago. I'm since then on board hosting for you those webinars, and yeah, it's great to have you guys all on the call today because we're going to talk about our latest product, flagship product we added to the platform of Utopian Global, which of course is STORH, which is based on a very long relationship which Bill, our CEO of Utopian Global, had with Philip Judge, this gentleman you see on the slide, and you see Ryan Messer, of course. Today he really hasn't changed all those years, nor has Bill, which is just amazing. But that's you know, when you do what you love to do, you just you know, stay the same, isn't it? So 2004, basically on selling Bill's last hotel. He was in the hotel business. He invested in a large sum into a energy fund, but he was introduced to the world of precious metals really through Philip Judge. And maybe Bill, you're going to talk just very quickly the story, because I want to lead in, of course, the people to what we're going to do today. And we're going to talk about that announcement which just came out, which is, of course, that we finally you know, signed in a letter of intent to purchase these assets, which you, I, and quite a few people actually stood on very recently when we all went to Texas to visit actually that oil fields, just as you did when you were doing your due diligence many years ago, before you actually invested that money. And so as you see here, STORH, a proven energy and mineral resource assets, giving investors flexibility and diversification while delivering solid returns with high growth potential. You see Ryan there on an actually natural gas team. But it's really all about the management advisory team. That's what you wrote in your newsletter, Bill, because at the end of the day, that is really what we have at the start with STORH, the foundation for STORH. So maybe, Bill, you want to just share a few words for the audience and especially the new people on the call today.
Sure, thanks, Claudia. Great to have you on the call, Ryan. I know you're a busy man down there on site. It's an exciting phase in the growth of our company. Welcome to everyone joining us from many parts of the world. Well, you know, it's all about the team, isn't it? I mean, I've been in business since 1986 as a self-employed entrepreneur. Sometimes plans work, sometimes plans don't work, but the most important thing behind it all is really the people. You know, the people, do they have the integrity? Do they have the vision? Do they have the persistence? Do they have the commitment? Do they have the experience? And I must say, when I first met Ryan back in 2004, I put a significant amount of money into an investment. I sold my last hotel. I put $1 million Australian dollars, which is about 860,000 American. So you just don't put that sort of money into investment without doing your research blindly. Of course, you want to know what you're buying and you want to know who you're investing in. And what really impressed me back in 2004, meeting, of course, Philip Judge, Simon Heaps, we flew to America. I think I flew into Baton Rouge, actually, Louisiana, right on the Mississippi River. I met up with Ryan and his partner, and also Jay Stewart, you see on the bottom left-hand side here. There's other engineers and other team members who aren't on here at this particular time. And I was just impressed with their passion, with their experience, the relatively low risk of the asset. And who are the owners of the asset? The owners of the asset were primarily industry people, and that excited me. So I thought, you know, I was no guru at this particular sector. I knew my hotel business well, but I didn't know energy sector very well. But I thought if these people are putting their sweat equity into it, putting their energy into it, I'll put some of mine in it. I'm going to invest in the team, and that's really what I did. And you know, as you can see, after all these years, what is it, 15, 16 years, we're still best friends of Ryan Messer, still best friends of with Philip Judge. And I know a few years later, Claudia, you invested in this asset yourself. But why did we invest in this? Well, first of all, we wanted to take our paper money and we wanted to actually invest in solid assets, solid income producing assets, products that had a demand and products that actually generated an income. And of course, I wanted to have a long-term yield on that income. I had done well out of my hotels. I took part of that revenue. I wanted to diversify part of it into this asset because I wanted to chill out for a period of time and get some passive income. And I'm sure that's why many people are here on this particular call now. You've invested your hard-earned money over many years of creating it into hard assets. And what you see here, this simple looking, well, it's quite an ugly well, but Ryan will tell you that these pumps are an engineering masterpiece. They really haven't changed, probably, I don't know, maybe in 100 years. But the energy that's required to drive a shaft, that shaft into the earth could be going down, Ryan will tell you, I suppose, it could be going down 1,000 feet, could be going down 2,000 feet, and actually drawing fluid up from that depth of the earth. Imagine the force that's required to do that. It's really quite remarkable, actually. And of course, those condensates that's extracted from Mother Earth are used to really power the world in one sense. And Ryan's experience in doing this goes back 2 decades, and also not just on the hard assets of extracting it, but also blending the condensates as well in the midstream sector, which is what we're investing in. But that's primarily from it. And the asset that we've actually bought, which is really exciting, is that 90% of the owners, more than 90% of the owners of this asset that we're settling on next month, as in tomorrow is the next month, of course, is actually owned by industry experts, people who are in this game. You're talking about engineers, you're talking about geologists, so they know where they're putting their money. This is where you'll put your money. So we haven't earned any revenue from these assets yet because we're just buying it, we're just settling it now. But this is where the STORH funds have actually gone. It's a very exciting project. There's a lot of upside to it. And as you can see, I'm excited about it, but maybe Ryan wants to touch more about this because I know he's pretty pumped about it and may like to talk about it.
And yes, before Ryan does this, and this is really, so basically what I'm going to actually walk you through and Ryan is going to walk you through is now basically what was the timeline of where we have gone when, of course, STORH was actually launched. So we're going to talk over the timeline, where we are, and then we are excited because in those last few months, we have achieved actually quite a lot, because the original plan, as you see, well, the plan, actually, the acquisition strategy really, and maybe Ryan, now you want to touch a little bit on that, was all the focus was at the moment really getting the foundational near-term growth actually happening. And so, yeah, Ryan, maybe you want to just touch on that, and I can put the slide again back, but I just have here the timeline a little bit, so you talk a bit about the timeline.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we talk about, since the beginning, right? Since we kind of launched this in October of last year, we've been talking about building that foundation, right? Just like any building, any structure you build a solid foundation. And we knew that the asset that we chose was going to be an asset that was already in production. Okay. This particular asset's been in production for nearly 70 years, I believe, if not a little bit more. So it's been around a long time, but it's been underdeveloped. It was actually found by Humboldt, I think, in the 1920s or 30s. So it's been around a long time, and we wanted something that had a long life, a long production life. And the engineering report showed 25 years of productive life left in this field, so it'll be around a long time, and that's all economic forecast, of course. So, and it's a field that's generating in the low to mid 20s at the moment. Probably, well, I guess now that oil prices are a little bit higher, we're going to see some higher returns from there. But there's obviously a lot of opportunity to enhance that, and that's why we bought the asset. Again, we wanted to buy something that was in production, very, very low risk, but we still wanted the opportunity to have an asset that we could enhance. And of course, we've got the team because, as I've mentioned before many times on these calls, this is an asset that I wanted to buy nearly 6-7 years ago when I ran the public company as the chief operating officer on the Australian Stock Exchange. So we looked at buying the asset, and it's taken that long for the sellers to, I think, be in a position where they really want to divest. They've made a lot of money on this asset, and there's still a lot of money to be made, and for us, it's a perfect acquisition. So it'll obviously make a multiple on our money. Right now, the reserve report shows that it'll make around 4 times, our invested capital now, but that's based on what we know is in the reserve report. And once we close, I'm going to do a very in-depth overview of the asset. I didn't want to go into particulars until we actually closed on it, but that'll be in a couple of weeks. So we'll be able to do that and go into great detail, but I think there's a lot more upside in this asset. And of course, when you look at our strategy, again, this is probably going to be the lowest risk that we participate in. And of course, we have projects with much higher rate of return, some that are still a little bit different in a sense that they'll be services-based assets. So again, very low risk, but probably have a higher rate of return in the near term. And of course, then we have some projects that we're looking at for high growth, right? And that's our project that we have in Peru. We're looking at another one in Panama. So a lot of upside left in the company for when we list it. It'll be either listed on an exchange like a crypto exchange, or we're going to list it on the stock exchange. So kind of going back to the timeline again, we really conceived this general idea probably about 1.5 years ago now, I guess, and really didn't quite refine it until the middle of last year. And that was really, I kind of give that to Bill. He said, look, here you are, been in this industry for 20 years or nearly 20 years. Why don't we take advantage of these cash flow generating assets? And going back to what we did back in 2003, 2004. And of course, I never left the industry. I've been in the upstream side and of course expanded to the midstream side of the business, which is around, marketing crude and transportation and logistics and blending and various things. So it made perfect sense, right? So that was kind of our soft launch was October 2018. A lot of people got in early, so they've done really well in terms of token price. And of course, in November, let's see, what do we have? Yeah, we did a field visit going back to that particular asset in Texas, which we're going to close on here within a couple of weeks. And let's see, we listed the SAF agreement.
I just put a picture there with the,
yeah,
with
there
the
you go.
there.
Yeah, there was the group that came out and did the field visit, which was great. So we're going to do another one, obviously, sometime in May. We've got a lot of interest. A lot of people want to come out, so we kind of need to we need to figure out those dates. But anyway, that was the trip that we did last November, and of course, at the time, we didn't even have a website. Our corporate structure wasn't together. So a lot of things have happened since then, and now we're at the point where I believe this week, can I say? We're going to, yeah. So the smart contract, the Ethereum 223 token, will go live on the blockchain. And I believe you guys are putting together some videos in terms of how to create your own wallets and manage your own wallet and your private keys. And then soon thereafter, I think within a couple of weeks, we'll have, or the Utopian global site will be, the development will be complete to be able to submit the wallet and actually take delivery of the tokens. So for everyone, obviously you're going to have to complete the private placement memorandum, which everyone signs, and to be able to get your tokens that you've acquired. So a lot of progress has been made, and of course, you know, I think we've done really well in the short amount of time that we've been live. Obviously, there's a lot that goes on in the background that a lot of people don't see, but we're pumped because last Friday we signed the letter of intent on the asset that I've been looking at for nearly 7 years, and looks like we're going to close within 2 weeks. So we're making a really big push right now towards the end of the month because the price will change. Price has to change to reflect the valuation of the company. So we're making a really big push right now to get as much in as possible because there's an opportunity to actually acquire a little bit more of the asset. So, you know, there's a few more percent that we knew was out there that we have an opportunity to take down, and we'd love to take as much of it as possible. So right now we're slated for around 12%. Looks like we can take around 14%. I would love to be able to acquire that. That's, you know, obviously over several $1 million of an acquisition, but again, it's a strong asset. You guys were there on site. The expanse is tremendous. It's nearly 6,000 acres of development potential yet. So anyway, a lot of upside there for the company.
Absolutely, Ryan. I'm working day and night. I didn't sleep last night at all.
That's
I can
great.
tell you that. I think maybe 2 hours or so I had slept, if because everybody wants to get in. The team of Latin America, they're just absolutely pumped. They just like, I mean, you know, I'm just constantly on it, and they want to get in, and everybody wants to get in because obviously for them it's actually so much more than that, because their currency is anyway losing more value than any other currency. So this is really great deal there. And yes, we're not going to stop, because the point is, as more we promote, as more we share this with other people, as more cash flow is being actually generated, which then can go into, cash is generated, which can go into the assets. You can get more assets. We all can get paid more, and that's the whole purpose of it, isn't it?
That's absolutely the purpose. And, you know, we've talked a lot about the distributions, because that was our initial plan, was to be able to send out quarterly distributions, which we will do. For everyone listening, we will be sending out quarterly distributions. I don't know the exact date of when that was going to start. We kind of slated for April, but the small acquisition that we made, obviously it's only been in operation or owned by the company for the last couple of months. So we decided that would probably end up taking as much time and effort to do that small distribution versus just taking that revenue and plowing it back into the ownership of the asset. So actually it advantages everyone that is a current token holder, because obviously it limits dilution. So we want to do that initially until we get the company up on its feet. And again, this is our first large acquisition. So I think everyone understands, though. I've had a lot of feedback, and a lot of the feedback is, you know, they understand we're barely walking yet. And I think we've accomplished a lot, but we're still in our very, very early stage here. We've got a lot more assets that we want to acquire. So we want to be able to sort of compound the the cash flow effect, if you will, from the revenue of this asset. So,
and Ryan, you mentioned, you actually just said, maybe I don't want to correct you, but I correct you. So
please, please.
You said the little small assets, we had them a few months. It's actually not true. I mean, they were only in production really a few weeks, because they were only the 6th of March. So and the end of April was the end of March was the cutoff. So basically production was 2 weeks, right?
No, you're right. Yeah, because I'm including April, but obviously our cutoff was the end of March for that particular quarter, and we're not going to lose the timing, right? Because everything's going to be recorded on the blockchain, of course, but in our back-end systems, we know who was in at what particular time, and so we're not going to lose that order that everyone got in, because I think a lot of people were expecting some revenue from those wells, but that revenue is obviously not lost, and your place with the distributions is not lost as well. So I think, just give us a little bit of time here. Let us make this acquisition. Let us get underneath our feet, and we'll put that process back in place. But that's absolutely our intent, to send out distributions at some point here in the near future. And of course, more importantly, from my perspective, I'm more interested in listing it and and capitalizing on the future income streams, because I think really that's where our upside is. And I think if we can sort of get people in the mindset that, this is a growth vehicle, and I think a lot of people are looking at it as a cash flow vehicle, which it is, but I think there's a lot more near-term upside to put our cash, if we can pull some of that cash back once we list it into other things or other assets, or the second STORH token, which will come out, I think that'll be the best use of our capital long term. So anyway, if you get kind of people in that mode, I think we'll certainly be aligned.
Claudia, it's very true. It's very true. Can you hear me? Okay. Do you want to go back to the slide of the asset, Claudia? Please. Because there's a lot of great content there. I just want to go back through to really, for the new people on the call who have just got involved with STORH, I want them to really grasp what they actually own. I still see the same slide, actually. Hasn't changed. Not that I don't mind looking at the people, but I prefer to look at the asset. Okay, so let me just give a bit of a summary here on what we have here. This is, as Ryan said, this is the first major asset. This is the asset that quite a few people looked at back in Houston. I think it's just under 6,000 acres, just under 100 producing wells. And I think just from the production, the buy price that we've got to when we do the actual capital improvements on the particular site, that in itself, Ryan, can actually 4 to 5x the valuation of that particular asset. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, in talking to engineers and geologists, if you look at the history of the field, and I tell this, so I apologize to those who have heard it a few times, but a friend of mine who is the geologist on this particular project, Pete, you guys got to meet him. He's been involved in this particular field since 2003. And in 2003, the engineers gave the field 1.7 million barrels of reserves. That was all it was going to produce at that point in time, based on what they knew at the time. Well, since then, since 2003, and it's 2019 now, so nearly 16 years later, the field's made 3.8 million barrels and has over 4 million barrels of what's called proved, probable, and possible. And very little time and effort has gone into determine exactly what is probable and possible, because the owners haven't really cared. They care about what is in the proved category, but nearly around 3 million barrels of proved reserves. So that's 6.8 million barrels that have either been produced and or still on the books to be produced in the future from 1.7 million barrels. So, and they're still finding new intervals within this field that have production, or I should say reserves. So it's very possible that we could add at least another couple million barrels to the reserves of this particular field just by continuing the development of the field. We've got at least 30 locations to go look at, and of course a bunch of behind pipe reserves. So these are reserves that will be completed later in the life of a particular well that's producing, say, at a shallower interval. yeah, I think there's still a lot of upside to be left in this particular field, and that's why we want it, right? Well, we don't want to buy assets that are absolutely perfect and fully efficient, because there's little upside for us in the future. So, kind of going back to our strategy, we want to make sure we only buy assets that we can improve, right, through either creating efficiencies by cutting costs or increasing revenue. And I think we can do both of those things in this particular asset, probably one more than the other, and that is increasing revenue by increasing development over time. And of course, we got to have the team to be able to do it. And I'm highly confident in the team that's been around since 2003. They know the field probably better than, well, no doubt they knew it better than Exxon, because look at the amount of production that they've been able to add net to the field since then. And then we've got to have the opportunity, which we do now. So we're locked in, and we'll be closing in 2 weeks, and we'll be the proud owners, all of us, side by side here. So this is great.
It is great. So that's a very important part that you actually brought up, Ryan. So primarily, when you own STORH, you're just not owning a token on a blockchain. You're actually owning equity in this Texas asset. And as you'll see in the private placement memorandum, you're actually owning, each and every member owns equity in Source Rock Energy Partners, the company, which owns the assets, which is pegged to the STORH token. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think, those who have followed the tokenization space or the ICO space over the last couple of years have kind of realized that most of the creators of these tokens intentionally separated the investor from the investment. And so they have zero recourse, and they own absolutely nothing. Maybe a promise for a theoretical technology at best. Okay, and some of those worked out. I'm not going to say they didn't, but 90-something% of them failed, and the jury's still out on probably 5%, and that leaves maybe 2 or 3% that were successful. Okay, backed by real teams and real assets and those sort of things. Obviously, we're going to be able to point to our balance sheet, right? And so, and we wanted to make that connection between the token, be able to utilize the blockchain, which is a fantastic technology. It's still new, it's still in its infancy as well, and be able to leverage some of the really cool things I think we're going to be able to do in the future around tokenization of reserves and creating liquidity through some of these pretty slick technologies. But to tie that to actual equity in a company which owns the assets. So there's a direct correlation, direct relationship, and all that's done through our private placement memorandum agreement, which you've got up here on the screen. So,
this is really an important point I wanted to bring out, because to be quite honest, many people come into these things and many people don't do their due diligence, and that's why many people get burnt when markets are moving fast. Of course, we make decisions sometimes on emotion rather than real common sense. So it's important. I really wanted to bring out why this document is there and how it links you to the underlying asset, to the STORH token, which is really important. And of course, stage one is, or phase one, of course, is we want to be able to increase the value of this asset. It's like if you buy a brand new home, it's brand new, it's nothing else to be done to it. Well, you're buying someone else's work. You're paying maximum price for that asset, and there's nothing really to add to it, maybe. But if you go into something which still has upside development, it means that we can actually multiply the valuation on the particular asset, and that's what I like. I mean, I used to buy hotels. That was my business. Buy hotels that were in receivership, run them for 5 years, and of course double, triple their turnover. And of course, you realise the X factor when it came to sale time. It's work. It takes time. You've got to reinvest back in the asset to bring it up to the levels that you want. But that's primarily what we're doing here. If we want the patients to understand the strategy, one is we can get the X factor when it goes listing on the exchange, and two, the cash flow is still there to be distributed. But we've got to build the asset value up. We've got to build that cash flow up. That's really important. This is what I did when I ran the hotels. You want to maximize the efficiency and the productivity, and of course the revenues to bring up the asset value. At the same time, you're just making that cash flow. I mean, it's beautiful. It's just music to the ear, but it takes a bit of time. Okay, it takes a bit of time. So people who have just got engaged with us, buying into this particular asset, I want you to understand that. But you're owning something that here is real, managed by an awesome team, And it's a long-term project. You just heard Ryan say that the reserves on these particular assets are going to be paying out for the next 2.5 decades. You might decide to sell it before then, which I understand, but you might decide to keep it. Maybe it's going to be your grandchildren that benefit from these royalties, as many people have done from the past, from the original owners of these wells going back, 50, 60, 70 years, as Ryan said. So I just wanted to touch on that, but it's very exciting. So back over to you, Claudia.
Thank you, Bill. Well, I actually just wanted to touch on very quickly because, but you have already touched on the payouts, what we had on the assets. So I just wanted to touch on to get it clear again, because people obviously we have sent a communication out. The communication was that on the 30th of April, the token will go live on the blockchain. That's probably not gonna exactly happen that day because there's a lot of development. We just have deployed the Spanish side, I believe. So yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, because I wrote the article, or part of it, I should say, and for the date there. So I'm the one that should accept responsibility for not going live today. Okay, well, the token could go live today, but we're not pushing it live today. Just pushing the token live onto the blockchain doesn't really achieve everything, because what are you going to do with it? You can see it there, and that's it. We want to have some videos produced. We want to have information there to be able to show you how to be able to set up your wallets. So Thursday, this is from my mouth, I'm saying here live for everyone. Thursday, the STORH token will be going live on the blockchain. And we'll be having some information, instructions how to actually set up your STORH Ethereum wallet. Be very, very clearly. And as Ryan said earlier, then of course we have to be able to register your STORH wallet on the Ethereum blockchain. But then of course we then has to go one step further, and you've got to take we've actually got to be able to connect it to the SAF tokens, which is what you own right now. We've got to convert those one for one and push them onto your wallet. That's going to take a bit more time. But this week, Thursday, STORH is going to be live on the blockchain, and two, you're going to be having instructions of how to actually set up your your STORH Ethereum wallet. That's the correct wording, isn't it, Ryan?
That's it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're going to tie your wallet directly to the Utopian Global platform, and that way you can utilize the benefits that you'll get the Utopian Global platform. Like when we do a distribution, we'll be able to do it directly. Well, obviously to the back office, and then you can convert it and do whatever you want. If you want Ethereum, you can do various things. So there'll be a lot you can do, and you can transfer tokens, I believe, between users as well. So they'll have to be KYC AML on Utopian Global platform to be able to transfer the token. So you can't, and that's a great protection mechanism. So we always know who our investors are, because one of our options is to be able to take this and list this on a public exchange and do a proper IPO, which is still certainly on the table. But as you point out, and that's a very good point, we this is our first large asset. Okay, many more assets to acquire, and still a long way from the beginning of our strategy to where we want to be. And but a lot of movement in that regard. We're actually mobilizing a team, hopefully in May, if not, well, we're shooting for May to send a team to Peru, and that would be a couple of engineers to work with the government to execute on that plan for our, land reclamation and mineral recovery project, which is absolutely an amazing project. We should probably have another call just directly and specifically on that. But it's all around sustainability, and I think the work that we'll do for the people of Cerro de Pasco in Peru and the government will be solving a lot of problems, and at the same time putting money in our pockets, because there's a huge problem there, but a huge opportunity for us. So, and that's really, I think, where we'll get a lot of upside. So.
Yeah, so the opportunities are multiple fold here with the Utopian Global and STORH. With the Utopian Global, of course, you have the affiliate income. When people buy STORH, they buy it from a referred affiliate. It means you earn your short-term commissions, which you pay out weekly and, of course, monthly. And secondly, of course, you're owning the real tangible assets that is going to increase in value, and, of course, also have the distributions from the revenues actually earned. But maybe, Claudia, you're going to go through these packages. I can see you going there now.
Absolutely, because we want to do it short tonight, so that people actually want to re-listen, because they always keep complaining they are too long, the webinars. So yeah, so basically we have of course different packages, and the first really options, those small entry options here, they're really designed, and I really want people to understand that they're really designed for the ordinary person who doesn't have those large funds, to put into something, but they can start from as little as 99 euro. Literally, they can build an organization, they can make money through sharing. Sharing is caring, and from that they can then reinvest into actually assets. Okay, and this is fantastic because it really doesn't leave anybody out. Now, of course, we do have the other we have the other packages which are a little bit higher, the 1.5, the 3.5, but then of course the investors packages. But hey, not everybody has 9 grand or 18 or 100,000, 250, or even up to 1 million, which we have here. Not everybody has that. So going back to the smaller packages, and this is why we really see such a growth all throughout, especially Latin America, because, well, first of all, they have the challenge with the currencies. Secondly, they have a lot of minerals in their countries. They're always in trouble because of those minerals, because they only go into one's pocket, and that is not their pocket, but the other's pocket. And here they can actually benefit from that. But also we have, of course, a growth everywhere in the world. But of course, especially those countries where they just don't have that much cash flow available, they have an amazing entry here from as little as 99 euro. Why? Well, because you get STORH tokens, you get an affiliate ecosystem, you get coaching programs, and you still have money going into or towards the asset. Of course, as more money you can actually put up front, as more will go into the STORH tokens. And right now, here and then, as Ryan said in the beginning, well, we know exactly that in a few days that price will change again. The token price will change again. Why? Well, because Ryan is actually, with the funds raised, buying actually that asset in Texas, and hence the token price has by nature to go up. And so right now you still have that chance. I don't know how long. Ryan hasn't yet specified the exact date, but I think it's going to be maybe another week or so, that people will be able to right now buy the token for actually 50 cents instead of 1 euro. Is that correct, Ryan?
Yeah, that is correct. And I guess it depends on which package you purchase. But yeah, the price will go up, and probably within a week, around 7 days. So we've got a short amount of time before we do that, before I'm essentially locked in here on the interest. And once I know exactly how much we're going to acquire, then obviously I can, establish the net asset value of the company, and then come up with the new price per share, or price per token in this situation.
Fantastic. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Ryan, there. And yeah, as you see here, obviously, as higher the packages, as more actually goes into STORH. You see, when you buy a 9K package, actually 87% goes into STORH. You buy a 18K package, 90% goes into STORH, and so on, up to 94% with a 250K and a million. Obviously, you're going to have 97% of the funds actually allocated, producing you income. And that is the key word, producing you income. And yeah, so basically, last but not least, important notice that the STORH token is not licensed for distribution in the United States. So if you're in the United States, if you have a United States passport, if you live there, reside there, you can unfortunately not buy the STORH token. You can participate in the ecosystem, you can purchase your gold or silver as you can since 11 years, but you cannot actually buy STORH. So with that, thank you so much for listening to the update today. I know we have a lot of new people on board. They may still don't get the whole concept as yet. So get in touch with the person who contacted you and invited you to this presentation. Get your questions answered. We're gonna release, I believe, another update with 2 more languages. So I believe the French and the Spanish version is going to be sent out by tonight or early tomorrow, with the update in the English version. on the token going live and the Dutch version, and more languages are on the way. I know, Ryan, the new white paper, a very shortened version, is also on its way, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, I'm probably about a week and a half before we have the new white paper, and of course a revised pitch deck that will all be available on the STORH.com website, and a few other pretty cool changes coming as well. So yeah, stay tuned.
Thank you. And thank you, Bill, of course, also for the great insights. Maybe you want to also, close the presentation and have some more, maybe some words for you.
No, not really. I think we've said enough, Claudia. No, it's all really exciting, and listen, we're very appreciative for the trust and vision that you put in all of our team, and I really for Ryan to bring the assets and his experience across to a completely different industry called multi-level marketing or affiliate marketing with Utopian Global. That's the trust and respect of relationship that we have. He understands the vision and purpose very clearly about Utopian Global, about helping people achieve multiple streams of income. And he also knows that being able to provide people with real hard assets which are income generating, for the next 20, 25 years is a very powerful thing. So I really respect and thank you for the relationship, Ryan. And I'm looking forward. I enjoy this journey with you and Claudia, of course, and the whole team. So let's do this. I mean, we are doing it, but we look forward to acquiring more assets, especially the Peru one, where there's going to be so much upside to it. And in fact, as you know, I was in Dubai just before Easter with Philip Judge speaking about this particular asset. I mean, he is very passionate. He's been on this project for 2 years. So I know he's looking very forward to heading down to Peru with you, Ryan, maybe the end of May, start of June.
Yeah, we hope so. We're hugely excited. Again, I know we've talked about it before, but huge potential and doing good along the way as well. So very exciting. Thank you all for the relationship, and look forward to many great things ahead.
STORH price will be going up next week, I believe, as per the balance sheet increase. So it's a good time to get some ownership before that increase occurs. So thanks, Claudia. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you on the call later in the week. We actually have Carolina Oliveros, Claudia, on Thursday, if you want to announce that.
Yes, I actually did already, yes, I believe, or announced it in the UG newsline there. So yeah, absolutely. Carolina Oliveros, we will have a call. Carolina Oliveros, as you know, she has been co-authoring the financial education system with Robert Kiyosaki, Richard Portet. So she's gonna have a call on Thursday, always great inside information. So don't miss that, and don't underestimate it either. What an amazing person you have there. Very often, people, they think, okay, who is she? Well, she has a huge achievement in her career, and she does this for free. She's not getting paid by Bill, and she does it because she so much loves to give education to the Utopian Global Network, because she loves really what she does. And so she has, to co-wrote the financial education system of Robert Kiyosaki, which is how many books did he wrote together with Donald Trump even? So he is the guy when it comes to cash flow quadrant. To actually be there with him doing that stuff, it's a pretty high profile. So I really don't want you to underestimate that, because this is all part of your program when you are basically an affiliate in the Utopian Global platform. So with that, thank you so much, and thank you, Bill, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, listeners. See you on the next call. Bye.